died of tuberculosis. Very sad. I think he always was in love with her. The second wife, well, it's scandalous, just scandalous, yeah. That second wife, she was a living terror. Yeah, that's the tightest seat, and it's up against the firewall. So we get to stop one. You probably have people getting off. You might want to readjust.
Yeah.
I'll be all right.
Now look to your right as we go up here. You'll see a stately mansion, bluish green, beautiful place. That was the home of Lucille Abbott. She was the first female real estate agent, real estate developer at that. She developed all this area from here all the way up to the Mission. 120 homes. She designed them, she financed them, she had them built, and she sold them. Back in 1905 to 1920. That was before women's suffrage. Women couldn't vote. And women were not allowed to sign legal documents. Her signature on the deed, the bill of sale, the purchase agreement, the receipt for materials would have invalidated those documents. So she had her brother sign everything, and she was a widow. 3 streets to the right is Water Street. If you drive down there in your car, you should. You can't get a trolley down there. We've got 3 cars. You can't back these things up. Well, you can back a car up. Down there, you see beautiful architecture. It was where the wealthiest of St. Augustine resided previous to the Depression. Oh, this cupcake shop on that? Oh, I won't go in there anymore. I went there about 5 years ago. Bought a cupcake. Terrible. I think it had 500,000 calories on it. You know, 400,000 had to be fat calories. It was so good. I ate the whole thing. I should have shared it. I said, man, I go back, I might die from that thing.
And where was that?
On the left, Lily's. Yeah. Yeah, oh. All right, we're going to be pulling in here to stop number 20. This is the mission of Nombre de Dios, in the name of God, is the translation, home to the Prince of Peace votive Catholic Church. The church and the cross were erected in 1965. Hector Menendez landed over there. 1565. A smart fella, he wrote down the longitude and latitude, and he drew a sketch of the bay in his journal. That journal exists in Spain today, so we know this is where he landed. And he brought Father Lopez with him. If you look across that bridge, you'll see a statue of Father Lopez, and Father Lopez did the very first documented Catholic Mass in the New World. All that's free to you. A cemetery dating back to the 1700s over there, a rustic altar representing the first Catholic Mass, and the very first St. Mary's shrine in the nation. It's safe to get off and on. The live oak tree.
Came up here to keep you
Anybody from the north probably realize they have up there red oak and pin oak trees. Here in the south, you have what's called a live oak tree, alive with leaves all year round. It loses leaves once in a while when another one's ready to come out and take its place. Different species of trees have different lifespans. The sequoias out in California live thousands of years. All oak trees live about 400 years, that lifespan. Not this fella, no. University of Florida still some of those gators from Gainesville. They came up here, did a core sample of this tree, determined it's over 640 years old. It's supposed to be 400 the lifespan. It's 640, 60%. 240 years past this lifespan. That'd be like a person living to be 130. Here he is, the old senator.
That tree.
Now look, when we go by it, please look at the branches. I'll be stopping there to see if there's anyone to join us or leave us. If anyone's going to leave us, wait for the bell and then back down with the, like you're backing down a ladder. On the branches there's a fern, and that fern needs water frequently. 3 or 4 days without water, it starts to get dull. In fact, it's starting to show. We haven't had rain for a couple of days here. For a while there, we're getting rain every day, practically. So it's starting to get dull looking. You go a week to 2 weeks without rain, and that stuff shrivels up and becomes brown and dead looking, and you think there's no hope for it. All that beautiful fern along those branches.
Huge.
But as soon as the rain hits it, an hour later, it swells up and gets pretty green, and it comes back to life. That's why it's called resurrection fern.
I'm going to get
It's
another.
safe to get off and on.
Okay.
That rail. And we're going to go into Magnolia Avenue, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! You got a treat. Yes. National Geographic magazine sent their photographer up here with a picture of the street, and they listed it in their magazine as one of the 10 most beautiful streets in America. Lombard Street in San Francisco is on that list also. So when we go through this archway, you take a look to the right, and then take a look to the left. Beautiful. Magnolia Avenue, St. Augustine, one of the 10 most beautiful streets in America, according to National Geographic.
made out of oyster shells.
Yeah, on the right, that's tabby wall. Made out of limestone, sand, water, and oyster shells. They're running out of cocaine now. These men were using it up, so they built that. That's actually a recreation. Basically cement and oyster shells. Now, oyster shells are sharp and they're dirty. So if you tried to surreptitiously climb that wall to get into someone's property, you'd probably get scratched or cut. Well, back in the 15, 16, 1700s, there's no antibiotics. You remember penicillin, the first antibiotic accidentally discovered by Fleming, a British fella, while he was studying bird mold. And it wasn't available until the very late 1940s, early 50s. So without an antibiotic, if you get an infection from that wall, you could die. Or end up losing an arm or leg. There's nothing to be trifled with. Now we'll give you a pill, you'll be fine. Here's the Fountain of Youth, or at least the parking area. First course infection in the state of Florida. For hundreds of years, there was a Native American village here. And these Native Americans were very healthy, lived a very active outdoor lifestyle. And they ate fish, and more fish, no competition for food around. Berries, the only sugar in their diet was the natural sugar in the berries, no pastries. They grew tall, 6.5, 7 feet, woo, in the 1500s, and lived into their 70s. The Spanish were lucky to make 5'5" and make it to 50. It's safe to get off and on. The Fountain of Youth, that rail and back down. So when the Spanish encountered these people, they didn't understand genetics, they didn't understand good nutrition and good living. So they just chalked the longevity and height of these natives to the Fountain of Youth, the well from which they drank. It became known as the Fountain of Youth. You have to get the water out of it. It's not a spouting well, so not quite a fountain. But I've tried it, it hasn't done much for me. I'm going to have to try to bathe in it, but it's a little expensive to buy it for that much quantity. All right, they'll give you a free taste when you're there. It doesn't taste bad, it's just you got to get past your nose, full of sulfur, rotten eggs. Yeah.
Folks, the price for seniors was more than it was for adults and children.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, I wonder if
The older you are, the more it costs to get in.
Oh, well, you get more benefit.
Right?
Yeah, you shave 4 years off.
Children were free. Adults were $9.95 and seniors were $17.95.
Okay. Yeah.
Fountain of Youth.
All right, we're heading for the old jail, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to jail.
We're going to jail.
You're going to jail. Came all that way and paid to go to jail.
I go to jail.
Goodness gracious.
I got my running shoes on.
Okay. Well, then I challenge you to behave yourself. This is the old jail that's our next stop. And I'm going to get a little bit of a break. Another driver will get up here and do it all over again. And leave here, stop one, and go all the way through. Chronologically, the stops 1 through 22. Up here is the old jail. It does take an extra ticket to get in there. You do have a free St. Augustine History Museum. Don't pass it by. It's a good museum. Sometime during the day, you just walk into Gator Bars, make a right turn, you see a turnstile, push your way through it. It's self-guided. Chronologically, the history of St. Augustine, and we'll drive up to you. But really well done. And nice clean restrooms in there, and snack counter, air conditioning. Gift store. When I pull in here, please wait before you try to exit until I ring the bell. And hold that railing back down like you're backing down a ladder. Okay, here we are. Stop the work. And remember to wait till I ring the bell, then you can back down to the right or left, whatever your taste may be. Okay. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's safe to get off. Thanks for traveling with us. I appreciate it.
Okay, I see it.
I'm not getting off at the jail. No chance.
Are you a wanted man?
I could be. I've already been there before. I don't need to see it again.
It's good to see it from the outside.
Right?
Your book's been done, Don.
Take care, guys. Enjoy. Thank you.
Getting a new driver, folks. Our other one's going to jail.
On your shirt or your blouse. That way the driver can tell. And that's your ticket on and off the trolley all day long.
Put your hand down. I didn't say Simon Says. Simon, put your hand down. Those of you joining us, hello. Remain seated while we were in motion. Keep your limbs inside at all times. Keep your hands on your belongings, animals, and children. If you drop something before you dropped it because I can't retrieve it, no consumption of alcohol, smoking, or vaping. And keep all things to a minimum so people can enjoy the tour. If you look to our left, you'll see our oldest store museum experience. A replica of the old hardware store made by C.F. Hamlin, it kept on everything in the back. Our store intends to whiskey back in 1908 as they demonstrate the wonders of the modern age, trying to sell you things like an automatic corn shucker, a portable kitchen for your wagon or truck, and a kid-powered washing machine. By kid-powered, don't mean your child or your goat. The answer is yes. It also works on spouses. To our right is the old jail, established in 1891. Serves the St. Charles County Jail to about 1950.
No more! On or off? All clear?
Nobody else on or off.
Escapees!
It is our second jail. The first one was closer to the middle of town. But a man by the name of Henry Flogger wanted to build a house down there and didn't let the competence of the scene with
Have a
guests.
good time. Come back when you can
Rather than build a house somewhere else, he offered to find us a new jail on the condition to control its appearance and location. He had it built about a mile and a half outside of town, and it was designed by the Trolley Jail Company, who would later go on to design Alcatraz. They made it look so nice, people won't confuse it for a second hotel, knocking on the sheriff's door, asking how much rooms cost. The sheriff would tell them rooms were free, as long as they had even a reservation of 1 to 3 years. Our inmates will book you, process you, take you through the jail, show what life was like for them, and if you're lucky, they'll sign your pardon papers so you can actually get out. Almost forgot, your tour guide's name was Dante. Let's get out of here before they find out I'm not him. Back to the jail. Coming up to our right, this black contraption is the Manning portable convict car. Used by Sheriff Joe Perry from 1916 to 1930 to rent out his prisoners all over the state. Perry would rent out his prisoners to do the jobs no one else would do. He would throw them in that car, bring them to a job site, chain them up to chain gangs, and leave them there until the job was done. Usually weeks or months at a time. They would work all day, and when their shifts ended, they would fold down the steel bunks and sleep inside. It was exposed to the elements, they showered when it rained, they shared a bucket, and they became very friendly with all the local wildlife. Or as more creative fishermen would soon call them, snacks. Down the road to our right is the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind, one with alumni being Ray Charles. He was there for ages 7 to 14, give or take, before he was kicked out for stealing a car. Further down the road to our right, we have Fort Mose, the first colony of freed African Americans in the United States. Formerly slaves to the British, they fled south to Spanish controlled Florida, where the Spanish king offered them their freedom on the condition they joined his army to further Catholicism. Eventually, the Nelson showed up, they were able to make a full colony down here. Seawall is the oldest continuously occupied European settlement in the nation. We are over 40 years older than Jamestown and over 50 years older than Plymouth. But before all that, Florida as a whole was discovered by Augustine, first mate of Christopher Columbus on his second voyage to the New World, and first mayor of Puerto Rico before he was replaced with Christopher Columbus' son. While in Puerto Rico, he heard tales of the mythical island of Bimini said to be somewhere near the Bahamas. According to legend, the waters from this island could grow one eternal youth and vigor. Ultimately, over the news that to go find the mythical fountain of youth. He definitely learned about the ancient of Christopher Columbus because he missed his mark. Instead of landing near the Bahamas, they landed near what's now the Cape Canaveral area, around Easter Sunday, 1513. They would use that throughout Florida after the Easter Festival in the state of Spain for Los Campos. These himself by natives who were already here. One thing he was able to use, however, was the Florida Gulf Stream off the East Coast, which allowed the heavily laden Spanish treasure ships to return to Spain at the 2 to 3 weeks earlier than scheduled. We think that Spain has settled Florida now with the effort to colonize, it was unpredictable weather and angry natives. Reaching many sites today, Hawaii still shouldn't visit or live here. This would change if the French bosses came along and they Port Caroline near Jacksonville or from 1804. King of Spain didn't like this, and they were French, but even worse was they were Protestant, while Spain was a Catholic nation. In retaliation, the King of Spain's most feared admiral, Don Pedro Menendez, who arrived here September 8, 1855, at the side of the Steel Cross to our left with 3 dogs. Clear on the French, there were the natives Catholicism, who fought as part of base operations for Spain. Immediately after landing, Pedro's troops marched north during the hurricane, arriving at Port Caroline to find it lightly guarded and easily conquered. This is because while they marched north, the French sailed south and attempted to intercept them. After taking the fort, Pedro and his troops marched right back down here to find 250 starving, tired, shipwrecked French sailors out of the original 2,000 those that could intercept them. Upon capture, Pedro asked them a single question that would determine their fates. Are you Catholic? 150 said no, we are Protestant and will die as Protestant. The Pedro obliged them to taking them out to the side of the bay and putting them to the sword. Moving on to the middle good burn, Pedro would spare them. Pedro thought about it, but realized he didn't have enough provisions to feed after 100 mouths, so they too were taking out the side of the bay when they too opened the sword. The bay was originally called the Bay of the Dancing Dolphins by the natives. It was renamed Independence Bay after this, Independence being Spanish for massacre or slaughter. It was said the waters ran red with blood for 3 days. The French will get their revenge about 20 years later, however, when British privateer Prentice Drake would burn the city to the ground. Coming up ahead to our right is our Visitors Information Center. The last link to Augustine to Beta Coquina. Okay. It has a free museum, useful bathrooms, where British printing food, a gift shop, and more. Next to it, the historic downtown working facility. There's something historic about it, thanks to the land that it's on. Once you site at the Cannonball House, built in 1880 by Isaac Buck. The largest hotel in the United States, over 235 feet long, 5 stories tall. It had 3 towers, tallest of which was around 131 feet tall. It could be seen from 13 miles out to sea. It has its state-of-the-art amenities as CP, bonus elevators, electricity for central lobby, and a fully furnished theater complete with floodlights. In 1881 and 1883, it had a guest by the name of Henry Flagler. In 83, he was here on his honeymoon with his second wife, and also happening in town for Founders Day. Flagler loving her so much he was all to return.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
The sidewalk was burnt down under mysterious circumstances. With no traces of remaining, or evidence of what caused the fire. Although rumor has it the fire hose through all time. Florida became the United States territory July 10, 1921, marking this year as our 200th anniversary. This is also just in time for the yellow fever epidemic to kill all but 1/3 of the Augustine population. At the time, there was only one Catholic cemetery, requiring Sunday burial ground to make for everyone else. This burial ground is coming up ahead to our right, the Cullen burying ground, also called the Huguenot Cemetery. After the Presbyterian Church in 1832, its services continued on into 84. There are 50 gravestones in it, but the one that fool you is actually a mass grave. There can be 25 people per headstone, with floors on glass being buried on top and having their names listed. There's actually so many unaccountable bodies in this sterile area. Unofficial policy is after you're walking around and hear a crunching noise, and just keep walking. Your natural skeleton in our closet, your natural skeleton in yours. It's also illegal to use knowledge in this area, because those are unaccountable bodies. If the city catches you with one, they'll have a bone to pick with you. Coming up ahead to our left is Florida's Wax Museum, the first wax museum in the United States, the second largest in the country. Over 150 wax figurines, with 4 being added regularly. Also, there is the old drugstore, founded around 1886 by T.W. passenger from New York. The passenger wanted to start one
A wax museum in Florida.
But didn't realize how long orders took to mature. So he went back to his original trade of being a pharmacist. In those days, you didn't go to the doctor, you went to the pharmacist. You told a nail job, they fixed the things from the bath, and you felt better. This something usually consisted of spring water, grain alcohol, and opium. When they feel better, not to recover. More importantly, he very quickly became a repeat customer. The drugstore is now a free museum you're welcome to walk through. Coming up to our left is one of our ticket booths throughout the city, where you can purchase trolley tickets, get discount tickets to local attractions, talk out booklets,
There's a pirate.
free maps, and general information about the area.
It's a pirate, folks.
Straight ahead is the Colorado Model
With a tip jar.
Mountains, and you can also Catholic. Inside one of the trips to our right is actually buried someone called the Exploding Bishop. Opposed to it all about the blast. We are now pulling in stop number 3, and it includes the stop to Old Town Trolley, followed by Rock Museum. Discount tickets are available to move to my left. Remain seat to key to the bell, and to the right is going down a ladder, holding on to the rails after you do the bell. For those who wondering what's stop number 2, it's across the street to Monkey Garage every day.
He got a sword.
Is there any way that you could talk slower? We're having trouble understanding you. Thank you.
All along the walls of the main fort, man 24/7 by artillerymen. Those spots you see are where the cannons were placed. Coming up to our right is a figure central to making Augustine what it is today. Founder of the East Coast Railroad, co-founder of Standard Oil, and one of the 3 richest people in the world. Tied only with John Rockefeller and the British monarchy. Seeing on the park bench coming up to our right is Henry Cosbear. St. Augustine was a frequent target of pirate attacks, was brought down by Austin. After the first time, domestic fortifications were built. To hold on, ended up on them. The first version of the front and the head to our left is on the left, to hold on. In the Bristol Wall, setting the west of the Tennessee River, to avoid most of the time to the Royal Line for about 9 miles. Made of held palm logs, packed earth, and off the flat called Spanish bayonet, which serves a climbing to zero it, assuming of course who survived musket fire. The example of the Spanish bayonet can be seen ahead to our left, that long to the green spot on the ground, or properly referred to as yucca. The only way in and out of the city at the time was through the city gates ahead to my left. These gates closed at dusk and open at dawn. If you missed the curfew, you slept in the swamp. Originally made of palm logs, in 1808 they were replaced with peanuts. In 1908, they were almost demolished and considered them an eyesore. They were saved when he guards the American Revolution staged a protest, dressed in funerary garb, carrying tea and snacks to passers-by, showing you just how much power free food can have. Ahead to our right is the start of St. George Street, a collection of stores, restaurants, and museums. It is our National Greek Shrine, Columbus Proctor Schoolhouse, the Vesta Sanchez House, and more. This is also spot number 4, the city gates. Remain seated to the bell, and to the right as you're going down a ladder, holding on the rails after you hear the bell. Wait for the bell.
Hey guys, don't spend all your money in one place! Unless it's with me because I'm cute.
Fort across here.
Across the street to our left is Castillo de San Marcos, locally referred to as the fort. Our first stone fortification, our 10th fortification total. Forts 1 through 9 are made of wood and burnt to the ground. Number 9 burnt down on 1668 by World War II. Speaking of whom, coming up to our right is the St. Augustine Colonial Experience. Visit history tour, watch tower, see various recaps and demonstrations, explore reproduction of a colony, and more. This is also spot number 5, the colonial border. Remain seated to the bell, and to the right as you're going down the ladder, holding on to the rail after you hear the bell.
Somebody has some beer.
Nobody else on or off. The rules of the road are still in effect. After fort number 9 burnt down, the beach of Spain gave the order for a sturdier fort to be built. This sturdier fort is made of coquina, these little shells, a soft stone mined from Anastasia Island across the bay. When coquina is first mined, it must dry for 2 to 3 years before being put to use. The fort took around 20 years to build, and upon completion was never taken in battle. An unintended side effect of the coquina in construction is that due to its nature as a soft stone, it absorbs the impact of cannon fire very well. Unlike with most stone forts at the time, where the walls can simply shatter on impact. Coming up ahead to our right is stop number 6, the Bayfront. Remain seated until you hear the bell. Takes you to the right and be going down the ladder, holding on to the rails after you hear the bell. Wait for the bell. Those of you leaving, have a good day. Nobody else on or off. The rules of the road are still in effect. Speaking of road, we are about to go down to our more narrow winding roads. The roads are made this way for 2 purposes. To channel the sea breeze to support natural air conditioning, and as a defensive measure. Artillery men of the bay, one of our hard line fires their cannons into the city, as they couldn't get a clear shot off. Infantrymen were on hard line forming break and marching inside. These infantrymen also couldn't see around the corner, so they were open ambush. The only beach Spanish controlled Florida was occupied by 2 forces. The Spanish, the British, and the Spanish again. This is evidence by your architecture straight ahead. During the Spanish period, houses were single-story buildings, first made of wood and later coquina. They had courtyards open to the road, leading to the front door, morning staff covered with coverings, thatch roofs, and central fire pits. When the British came along, they had a second story made of wood, wooden balconies, chimneys, fireplaces, glass coverings to the windows, and front doors with windows. When the Spanish returned, they decided they liked these features, so they kept them on. Coming up ahead to our left, the Power Mountain Outfitters, Manly Toys and Hobbies. I have no idea what counts as a manly toy or a manly hobby. Only that for some bizarre reason, I cannot find the Barbie Malibu Dream House in the store. To our right, this white building is the Columbia Restaurant, founded in 1905 around Tampa. It is still run by the original family. And coming up ahead to our left is stop number 7, Catawba Street. Remain seated until you hear the bell, and if you turn to the left and going down the ladder, holding on the rails after you hear the bell. Wait for the bells. Those of you joining us, hello. Remain seated while you are in motion. Keep your limbs inside at all times. Keep your hands in your belongings, animals, and children. If you drop something, remember where you dropped it because I can't retrieve it. No consumption of alcohol, smoking, or vaping. And keep contact to a minimum so people can enjoy the tour. Your tour guide name was Dante. Let's get out of here before he unties himself. Nobody else on or off. Just me. Once again, we are crossing St. George Street. A collection of stores, restaurants, and museums, such as coming up to our left. Parents and grandparents take note. the medieval torture collection. I'm sure your kids and grandkids will be dying to talk all about the fun they had in there. Fewer restrictions in mind. Straight ahead is the Mallorcan corner of the Old City. The Mallorcans were indentured servants across Florida from the Greek islands by Andrew Trumbull to work his indigo plantation. That plantation failed, however, so he left the Mallorcans to die. They marched themselves 60 miles over St. Augustine, where the then British governor allowed them to take up residence in an unoccupied area of the city. It is thanks to the Mallorcans who claim the title of oldest continuously occupied European settlement. As they were here, the British left, they were here, the Spanish came back, and they're still here today. After taking St. Augustine, Father loved it so much, he was able to return and make it the winter getaway for a good place up in New York. He probably got to work on the plan to build hotels that year. The first was going up to our white shortly, built for 1888, the Magnolia Avenue. Inspired by a case in San Marco, he wanted to do it better. Well, San Marco has a 50-foot lobby, lots of water electricity, and cold running water in every room. It actually had these amenities before the Lighthouse. You opened the DC coal-fired generators, housed the building putting us to our right shortly with the smokestack. These generators were provided by the Edison Corporation and are currently on display in the Trolley Museum. While the Pavilion was only open during the winter season, last from December to early April. You can reach an exclusive clientele, as you have to stay for the full season and pay in advance. The only exceptions to that rule being very few as residents, the few who can actually remember being Lyndon B. Johnson and Teddy Roosevelt. Those all eventually closed down, reopened as a 2-year Girls Academy, closed again, and then reopened as a accredited on 4-year college, the Father College. Seawall right, this circular rotunda was going to be molded for the hotel. It is on the dining hall of Father College. The seniors are paid as the state man will go on State Library Congress. The windows are original Tiffany glass, valued at over $100 million. They will receive multiple layers of bulletproof glass, where it is better tuition money. Father wanted to make the house out of brick, but didn't have enough, and we needed to import the rest out of state. He needed a material that was locally sourced, fireproof, weatherproof, and with tenants at the time. He would use the brick he already has to trim, but sell on a new business time the main material, poured concrete. Concrete was handmade from the mold, allowed to cure, the mold is elevated, and the process of heating for the desired height of reach. Like old performer 3D printing for making the cake layer by layer. Allowing Don event for concrete though, he got it from architect Franklin Smith, who he originally wanted to design the house for him. Smith was too busy though, instead offering G-Con's construction workers how to make more concrete themselves. Would go on to use more concrete, with the vast majority of the focus on here, including the Grace United Methodist Church and the Henry Father Presbyterian Memorial Church that we just passed. Coming up ahead to our right is the entrance to Father College, and once again up front, Henry Father. Inside the college are 2 towers, that's where the hot flowing water was stored, while the ones that we own. Franklin Smith would use more concrete to build winter homes.
He's going to college, folks. He got his tennis shoes
One
on.
of the first concrete cones in the United States. They once had a replica of one of the wings of the Obama Palace in Spain. Is now the Azorea Museum with audio tours available in English, Spanish, and French. One of the exhibits being a rug of the Egyptian pyramids and be over 2,500 years old. Hopefully studies of allergies, because that rug is also made of cat hair. Coming up to our right, you'll see some pictures of what the inside of the museum looks like. This is stop number 9 of the Azorea. Next door is a little vacation garden for those who lost their babies in childbirth. As such, we're not allowed to ring the bell here. Instead, wait for your audio indication in the safety depart. To the right, if you're going down a ladder, holding on the rails after my audio indication.
Strange palm trees.
Ding ding. Those of you leaving, have a good day.
Thank you.
What was once the Alcazar Hotel, the simply Hotel de Pavilion, built for the same time. Today is the Money Museum, as it was purchased by Otto Leitner, co-owner of Holly's magazine. Everyone should have a hobby, no matter how small. During the Great Depression, he didn't lose any money because he didn't invest in the stock market. Instead, he went around buying collections for those that did, and was doing his own museum, which opened around 1948. After his death, the building collection of both buildings in the city, on the condition to remain open as a museum. Inside is a wide variety of Victorian memorabilia, including but not limited to music boxes, ranging from matchbook size to grand piano size, demonstrating twice daily, a collection of crystal doorknobs, an Egyptian mummy, and Otto Leitner himself buried in the courtyard. To our right, that fountain you see is not the central courtyard where Otto Leitner is buried. It is, however, where the Olivet Church once stood, before Father lost land from them and gave them the grace to be done in Methodist Church in this place. Nor is it the Fountain of Youth, so don't drink from it. This is our stop number 10, the Leitner Museum. Remain seated and you hear the bells. And if you're to the left, if you're going down a ladder, holding on the rails after you hear the bell.
Guy buried under there.
Wait for the bell.
Folks, I'm going to zoom into these dragons on the top of this building over here. See if you can see. See the dragon? That's on the college across the street. There's several dragons up and down the side of that building. Kind of like gargoyles. That's a payphone. That's a payphone?
The swimming pool and dance hall, both extending down the entire city's lot. The pool had windows in the ceiling that could be open for ventilation purposes. If you were lucky, you could swim under the stars, or you could look at your dance to a line with a strong second floor. Yes, the Ponce de Leon were allowed inside the Alcazar for its amenities, but guests of the Alcazar were not allowed inside the Ponce de Leon. Coming up to our left, those doors you see for once the women's entertainment pool, located on the first floor. The pool has long since been filled in, and is now the Cafe Alcazar, also coming up to our left. Also to our left, this parking lot was once the slightly transports from the hotel. And also ahead to our left, this great building was once the site of the Henry's Father Bicycle Academy. Bicycles in those days were affectionately referred to as skull crushers. That's number 1. We are now entering Lincolnville, a key location in St. Augustine for the Civil Rights Movement. To our left is the Ford Civil Rights Museum, formerly the dental office of Dr. Rudolph Forden and Dr. Robert Haley. Members of the Civil Rights Movement were gathered here, and the Trinity Independent Church for All Right to learn the art of peaceful protest. To our left is Red Lighthouse is the home of Cora Tyson, co-cafeteria worker during the Civil Rights Movement. She's still alive and kicking and 98 years young. She made breakfast and junior lunch on multiple occasions. According to her, he didn't eat much, but he loved his sweet tea. Keith would stay at Lincolnville several times. Never stayed in the same place twice, though, due to the bounty on his head. On occasion, he changed multiple times throughout the night. We're actually about to cross like a Martin 16th Avenue up ahead. But only 2 roads named after him, the other being in Atlanta, Georgia, that he himself actually marched down. Lincolnville is the largest collection of Victorian style homes in the state of Florida, many of which are for sale, including one that was recently taken off the market. One of our 2 remaining Victorian style historic orange plantations, the Baja Plantation. Laha being Seminole for Orange, previously owned by Hickey Dumas, half-brother to Rosalyn Dumas, also the Three Musketeers, and the Count of Monte Cristo. It was taken off the market because it sold after being on the market for quite some time, because it is a little bit of an extra offer. Nothing new owners can mix or to weekends with drinks and friends. Now we got 2 more left. Coming up ahead to our right, this blue house was once the home of Dr. William Whedon, personal physician to Seminole War Chief Osceola when he was captured during the false flag operation. Whedon would follow his prison train around, attending to his medical needs until Osceola died of malaria. Whedon would then remove Osceola's head, put it in his doctor's bag, bring up with him to his office, and reserve formaldehyde on his desk while he studied the brain. To our left is the St. Augustine Fish Camp, following the industrial sector of Old St. Augustine, bordering the Kansas River, where the Rosario Mine once stood. This was the various trade goods and raw materials that entered the city, such as our shrimp trade. Made possible with the buildings ahead to my left. The smaller building was once the headquarters for the Florida Gas and Electric Company, now known as Florida Power and Light. The taller building was the ice plant, providing ice for the entire city. Today, the smaller building is the St. Augustine Distillery, producer and proprietor of a wide variety of locally crafted and sourced libations, such as whiskey, bourbon, rum, gin, and vodka. The ice plant is now a restaurant and bar, still called the ice plant, because I'm told it's a cool place to chill and dine. The ice plant offers brunch on Saturdays and Sundays in Canterbury, by the way. Back in those days, you didn't have a refrigerator, you had an icebox. Big old blocks of ice would deliver to you daily, in truck next one coming up ahead to my left, soon to be to my right. The ice would go to the top of your icebox, and as it thawed, the cold air would descend, goes up everything inside. The ice would last you all day, because it was made with ammonia. The distillery offers free tours, and I'm told they're very generous with their samples. I wouldn't know how generous, because I'm not allowed to partake while on duty. I have had their gym car though, and that is pretty tasty. This is slot number 11, remains east to the bell. Thanks to the left, going off the ladder, holding on the rail, after you hit the bell.
Boring, folks. We're ready to get some whiskey. Should have got off at the distillery, but I'm with family, so no drinking right yet.
Winery, they too are the producers and proprietors of a wide variety of locally crafted and sourced libations, many which are made with the local Muscat high grade. If you don't partake in alcohol, that's fine. They also make a grape juice. The winery also offers tours and samples, and has a restaurant on the top floor or the cellar upstairs. No idea what they call that though. They probably had one to become the grape juice when they're coming up with names. If you're waiting for the last tour of the day in the winery, have no fear, our driver will come in and give you a courtesy call. If you missed that choice from the courtesy call, I would have any cheese to go with your wine. Even if I did, I wouldn't give you any. Ask me why. Because obviously it's not your cheese, it's my cheese. This is stop number 12, San Sebastian Winery. Remain seated until you hear the bell. Exit to the right like you're going down a ladder, holding on the rails after you hear the bell. Those of you leaving, have a good day. Coming up straight ahead is the Augustine Police Station, formerly the East Coast Hospital. Financed in the city by Flagler on the condition all employees receive free health care. If you are a family member of said employee, you can receive health care for around 20 to 50 cents a month.
They open the gate for you. The gate just opened, folks, as we were talking about it.
Coming up straight ahead is the St. Augustine coming up straight ahead. It's the Augustine St. Chocolate Factory that starts with W. I don't mean Willy Wonka, I mean Wetstone. Formerly a homemade ice cream parlor, they had a budget to be so good, they decided to specialize. Today you can tour the factory to learn the dark process of chocolate making, take home a complimentary hairnet, and if you're lucky, eat your homework. Or you can just go to the store to get yourself some chocolate. Their next tour is at 11:45. If you do take that tour, watch out for the Oompa Loompas. They hunt in packs. For every one Oompa Loompa you see, there's at least 3 others sneaking up behind you. There's lava that can eat through concrete, and it can unhinge your jaws like a snake. I once saw an Oompa Loompa eat an entire goat in one bite. If you hear the Oompa Loompa singing, it's already too late. This is stop number 13, Whetstone Chocolate. Remain seated to the bell. Exit to the right like you're going down a ladder, holding on to the rails after you hear the bell. Wait for the bell. Has the triplet. There once upon the space of the East Coast Railroad. Today the Trolley dormitories are private college. Father wanted to make St. Augustine the winter getaway for his rich place up in New York, but at the New York was the first thing multiple trains, followed by either a horse and buggy or ferry boat for the rest of the way. Both were very long trips and not very pleasant rides. So Father watched the train cross around Jacksonville, sterilized the gauge, and they sent it down to St. Augustine, allowing people to board the train to New York and stay on the same train car all the way down here. Father would have sent the train cross out of Miami, take a look across the bay, figured while I was at it, might as well keep going, and made the first overseas railroad from the east to east. That last effort nearly bankrupted him, was completed 2 years before his death. The Key West Railroad served its role until 1935, when a hurricane destroyed the train tracks, knocking the roads into the ocean. The route itself is still in use, however, as a highway to the east. Once upon a time, St. Augustine was the largest producer of oranges in the United States. This is despite the fact that oranges were native to Florida, they were brought here from Spain. They took to the area so well, there were orange groves and plantations as far as the eye could see. This is until a couple of deep frosts came along, one right after the other, killing off the groves, causing the move around Orlando. One of those plantations is ahead to our left. The second of our historic orange plantations still remaining, the Lighthouse House. Previously opened up to Andrew Anderson, first opposition to Henry Flagler and mayor of St. Augustine. Today, the Walking House owned by Flagler College has been restored. You had to feel bad for those vacation owners back then. A loss like that must have been with the fruit. Or you're glad you didn't say bananas. Coming up ahead to our Central Plaza, scattered throughout, you will see various cannons and cannonballs rolled together. Those are all over the plaza, and the cannonballs are originally loose. Eventually, they are welded together as a precaution, because you will keep stealing the cannonballs, either hiding them at Easter eggs or throwing them off the bridge. Personally, I would see them stealing either of those things, but they must have really had a ball. If they weren't careful, they might have also had a blast.
I didn't see no cannonball. I think we've been by here before.
The classes are properly referred to as the Plaza de la Constitucion, named after the white pillar coming up for left shortly. the Good and the Constitucion. These pillars are erected in all the former Spanish colonies.
There's another payphone.
Coming up ahead to our left in the plaza, you'll see Reticular Pavilion, and that will be the open-air marketplace, where the first system of standardized weights and measurements was introduced in the United States. The open-air marketplace is still in use today.
There's a police dog. Big Rottweiler. Looks like a Rottweiler mixed with a pit bull. There's a cannon. You gotta look fast.
This has his exact life size. He stood at a towering 4'7" to 4'11" inches.
He's a little guy.
Which is right around average for this Spanish band today, but still pretty short compared to the natives in this region, who average around 5'5", 6 foot. So he compensated with the feather in his cap and high-heeled shoes, for he runs around 5'3". Don't make much, don't laugh though, he really went with his feather.
There's a Cannonball.
Speaking of height, ahead to our right, this red and yellow building is the tallest building in Augustine. Built in the late 1920s, the Treasury Building. Upon completion, it caused a civil outcry throughout the city skyline, after which ordinances are passed, forbidding any new structures being over 35 feet tall, a violation of local aesthetics. Further ahead to our right is Cathedral Basilica, the first proposed basilica of a denomination in the United States. Age of basilica not due to its age, but its historical significance. It is a departure point for a beach bus, which leaves them here every hour on the half hour, taking you across the bridge to Anastasia Island, where you can see the alligator farm, the lighthouse, and more. The last feature is here at 4:30. This is also stop 14. Remain seated until you hear the bell. Place it to the right as you're going down the ladder, and holding on the rails after you hear the bell. Only seen 5/6 of the nation, originally in the same city plan, Abilene Street. Down it is a wide variety of stores, museums, military hospitals.
What if we're going in circles?
Coming up ahead to our right, to our left, beginning by the Seawall Marina, the departure point for a wide variety of our oceanic sightseeing tours, including our eco tours, kayak rentals, El Galeon Spanish Galleon, Schooner Freedom, and the Black Raven Pirate Adventure. The Black Raven is part of Troll Ages, stage the late night show, Rough Runners, is in fact rated R. But there's still to get to that one. I will sort to approve.
They're looking for dinosaurs. Really, they were sifting through the sand.
Across the bay to our left is Anastasia Island, which Mojito is drawing for our various structures, such as on the island itself, our lighthouse. It is our second lighthouse, but the first one fell into the ocean. The base of it is the Maritime Museum, and it's crowned at the top is 250 steps. There was 290 steps. Coming down is a lot easier. It only takes one step in a tumble if you're particularly clumsy, and there's no elevator. The markings of the lighthouse are not decorative. They are unique to each lighthouse. There's navigation markers. Guided navigation provides for every lighthouse not to use fish. Across to our left is the St. Augustine Seawall, built by the Army Corps of Engineers around the 1960s. It is our second seawall, built around the first one in order to preserve it.
We'll probably come right
The
back.
original will be the last tumbling project in the United States, to be built using slave labor. You're now approaching our oldest house, from 1702. House is fees and over to the founding. High. Well, when you consider the fort, the majority of sections in Augustine were made of wood. What we realized they couldn't take the fort, they decided to burn everything else around it. The last time this happened, it was around 1700s by Governor Moore, Carolina. Afterwards, the order was given for our future structures to remain in Coquina. The oldest house being the first one built in this period, and the oldest one still surviving. It has changed hands and modified numerous times over the years, but has since been restored to its second Spanish period architecture, and is now a museum and garden you can walk through. There are 5 flags flying overhead, commemorating the 5 powers that made Florida what it is today. Representing in order, the Spanish, the British, the Spanish again, the United States territory, and finally statehood. Next to the oldest house in the Trolley House, locally called the Cannonball House because the Cannonball are the walls. Inside the Trolley House is the Augustine Serving District Museum. All this because it's not 15, remains seat 15 to the bow. Exit to the right is going down a ladder, holding on the rails, after you to the bow. Wait for the bell.
That's the oldest house.
All right,
Folks, pause that.
on or off. The rules of the road are so in effect. Alright, you go through this gate, you'll be able to see the cannonball I mentioned earlier. And to our left, the St. Frank's Military Barracks, formerly Princeton Priory, it was repurposed in the military barracks for the British and later Spanish armies. Today, it serves a similar role as the headquarters for Florida National Guard. Due to construction, we have to make a detour up and down St. 15 Registry, just past the stop sign is a residential area. If you pass by the stop sign, especially you know who you are. You never know what's going to be in stock, and all purchases are made on credit. Those will come at the end of the season. Usually the workers go in, do their shopping, sign the men's name,
Digging up bones.
at the end of the season, taking the prize on the bill.
Rental car.
And you found the rooster, and doing to the city for Dr. Daniel Peterson on 1948. The lines have names, firm and faithful. I could tell you I know which is which, but I'd be lying. Coming up ahead to our left, what appears to be a grouping of small houses. Buildings, the Hilton Hotel. Built in a way to get around those ordinances after the Hilton Building was built. Coming up ahead to our right, and this bay inlet, the Atlantic Ocean meets the bay. The inlet itself is artificially flooded by the Army engineers. Despite it once being called the Bay of Dancing Dolphins, the dolphins in the bay, the dolphins in the ocean, do not interact with each other. Whether or not this is on accident or on purpose, who could say? Straight ahead, you got to see the same photos once again. Cannonballs are reported on the box office walls, or they even look like a sponge. As an
Some beer. They got a beer.
In the middle of the night, sowers go down rope ladders to harvest these cannonballs, apparently blocks the walls, and in the morning, it looked like no damage was done, as those cannonballs are returned to the center for the 4th ocean. Cannonball shot from the fort actually found as far away as the island's doorway within the inlet. If you look closely at the fort's walls coming up, you'll see some flecks of white and red. That's off of the seagulls, but what remains of the original plaster coating. The fort is white and red, known as the Spanish Cross, the Spanish flag at the time, letting anyone who sailed by know exactly who ran the place. If you weren't Spanish and you were in the bay, you better have a good reason for being there. If not, you better hope never to remember bad shots. Especially considering they would on occasion give the cannonballs up to white hot before shooting them back, having a chance to take your ships on fire. Or if they would be a good shot, in our ship's powder stores once again explode. Stop 17, the fourth. Remain seated until you hear the bell. Exit to the right if you're going down a ladder. Hold on the rails after you hear the bell. Just me. Wait for the bell. Those good evening, have a good day. As I look away, you can see inside the open bay.
Bet his feet are hot.
The forts that were taken in battle, holds like over in war. Breathing the pen is this under the sword, and about
Bet his feet are hot.
Now let's talk about William Borden, co-founder of Standard Oil with Henry Fonda and John Rockefeller. Like many officials at the time, he too wanted to win their home down in St. Augustine.
They put the hill in the way so you have to get out and look at
He
it.
wore with the yearling, who had put into an inn with an apartment on the top floor. She had many guests over the years, one of them a man with the name of Robert Ripley, who was on the place to want to stay there. He asked if he could buy the whole thing. She turned him down. End up staying there every season. Everything he asked to buy and being turned down. Agreed. Also coming up to our right is the Massacre Anchor, an original anchor.
I can't believe it.
And further ahead to our right is Horse Bay County Control Harbors, commissioned to celebrate the Denver Broncos' victory against the Giants in the Super Bowl. Ask me if they won that game. Seriously, ask me. The answer is a resounding hey. The Russian behind about 16 points of lead, certainly thought it instead.
I don't believe it.
Not in the United States, and the location where the good TV show is filmed. Next to the right, if you're going down a ladder, holding on the rails, after you hear the bell.
I don't believe I'm getting off the train here.
Wait for the bell. Because they're trying and failing to walk on a small body can. That's
There's a
right.
naked guy back there.
Exact replica.
There's a naked.
On the street corner. Folks in those days were very impressed by David. So much so to be your side of him with college kids and car crashes.
Haha.
They tried to put the what did you think I was gonna say? He went out of the gutter. Michelangelo's original David is actually made of very poor quality marble. To our left is our San Bronco Welcome Center, larger point for our gravestone store and space. Reservations for which are required in advance, and you must show up in 15 minutes prior to tour time. If you do, walking is free this location for the Ghostly Gravestone store.
End of the road, folks.
This is stop number 9, stop number 19. Remain seated until you hear the bell. Exit to the right, going down the ladder, holding on the rails, after you hear the bell. Wait for the bell.
So, folks, that was the trolley ride around St. Augustine, Florida. It took about, how long did that take? 2 hours? We ran around in circles about 4 times. We saw the front and the back of everything. I wouldn't do it if I was you.